Hey, it's Stratejinn, and welcome back to Stratejinn, Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. Surprise! Yes, I know I said that the previous episode, episode 19, was the final episode of this series, but this is a special bonus episode of the show in which we cover some of the other functions that you have in this game besides the traditional long-form turn-based game. One, of course, is that you have multiplayer, which you can use using some sort of direct connection with other players. I'm not going to do that. What I want to show you in this episode is what's called the scenario editor. So if you go to scenario, the scenario option, and go to create scenario, this will allow you to create your own scenarios, which are basically like little, they can be of any size that you want, mini strategy games, whatever. So you'll notice that we start out with what is basically a blank ocean map with a bunch of Unity supply pods strewn throughout the map. Obviously, this would make a pretty boring game since there's no place for them to land. So what we want to do is we want to edit the map. So you go to your menu, click on menu, go to edit map, and you'll notice it gives you a bunch of options here. You can do things like place elevations, place rocky squares, cover uncover map squares, natural landmarks, Unity pods. You can also toggle whether you want the map to have edges or whether you want it to be round, like where you can go all the way to the edge of the world and go around like that. You can set the climate and the world parameters. You can slowly generate a random map, or you can quickly generate a random map. You can generate or remove fungus. You can randomize the rockiness of the map. You have all sorts of options that you can do. What we want to do toggle the edit only. So we want to be on editor only mode, right? So you're not actually doing any playing. You'll notice you also have the terraform option. You can't use any of that actually. And you'll have this scenario option. This allows you to modify the various aspects of the scenario that you're working with. Which factions are available, where the factions land, right? That sort of stuff. We want to go to edit map. And we want to go to, we don't actually want that, we want to go here. And we want to go to, do we want that? Which one do we want? We want to go to activate, no, we want that one. That's not the one. Okay. Where's the one that I want? Where is it? So you can clear the map if you screw up. We want to. So okay, we've got our stuff loaded here. This is what we want right here. All these little things are now loaded. But if I click on, see, it's the first one I've got clicked on. If I hover over it, it says elevations. If I click on it, nothing happens. What you need to do is you need to go to your menu. You'll notice if you go to your edit map, it says paint and editor only mode, right? Scroll lock. So we're in editor only mode right now. We want to be able to allow it to paint things. So it says scroll lock. That means you want to find the scroll lock key on your keyboard. It's usually SCRLK. Hit it. It's now in scroll lock. And what I can now do is I can use my mouse to draw land here. In this case, you'll notice that down here in this red zone on my heads up display, I've got the one square activated. So if I click, it'll only do one square of terrain. If I hit scroll lock again, I remove it, so I'm in editor mode. And then if we want to right click, that'll deactivate the thing. So you can select other options. So I have the option of doing a bunch of average. I can do 70-90% of the surface. I can do weak. I can do 100 million miles. And I can do strong. So if I want to do strong, and that's for elevation, in case you're wondering. Right? So if I want to do strong elevation and then I want to scroll lock, now it's going to give me a 9x9. Maybe you see me a 3x3 square, right? And then right clicking when you're in this mode will delete it. Right? It will essentially lower it. So left clicking raises it. So let's do this. So I'll show you here like this, and then if I do it again, I should be able to do it again. Should raise it. Okay, so it's not raising it. Let's do this. Scroll lock. Grab this guy. Scroll lock again. Should be allow you to raise it, but I guess it's not doing that. But you have a bunch of different options down here. Like this will give you rockiness. Here you have forest, sensor arrays, monoliths, jungle. So we want to do jungle. You see, you can make jungle on there. That's all jungle on there. And then again, if you, so that's how you edit the terrain. Like again, if you want to go over here to scenario map, you can set this. You can create units. For example, if you want to put a formers, and you can change which player it's going to be. So let's do it's the Gaians. And it's you placed a former there, right? So whatever square you've selected, it'll put an object thing there. So this will allow you to make up the whole of the scenario. I'm not going to go through every single feature on this option that you can use. I'm going to leave that to you to explore. But it allows you to do a lot of replay value for the game. In addition to the basically the vanilla Alpha Centauri, Fire Access Games also released a expansion pack for it, which was called Alien Crossfire. I'm not a huge fan of that expansion pack, in part because it doesn't really add a whole lot to the gameplay. I mean, for one thing, the new factions, they basically introduced 7 new factions. The new factions aren't really all that interesting. I don't find them to be that compelling. Several of them are simply copies of existing factions that are already in the Alpha Centauri. For example, there's a faction called the Free Drones, which are basically the human hive. There's a faction called the the Cult of Planet, which is basically the Gaians only turned up to like 11. So I mean, I don't find them particularly compelling. And another aspect of the expansion pack is that instead of allowing you to have as many factions as you like, to have say up to 14 different factions in a single game, it limits you to still to the same basically 7 factions like we had in the vanilla game. They've just mixed it up a little bit. I would have loved to be able to play with 14 factions, have a lot bigger map, a much more difficulty, much greater level of difficulty, but they don't allow you that option. It's like, okay, you get 7 factions, and now they're just randomly picked instead of being the 7 default factions from vanilla Alpha Centauri. And there's only like 4 new projects, 4 new secret projects, and they're not particularly useful in terms of changing the gameplay. My big thing is that I'm not going to do any I'm not going to do any footage from that game because it's from Alien Crossfire, because it's basically the same. Right? The gameplay style is exactly the same. There's no compelling reason to show you that. Unless you want to see the 2 alien factions, and yes, there are alien factions in Alien Crossfire, hence the name. My own opinion is that the alien factions are kind of a waste. One of the things that made the original Alpha Centauri so interesting was the idea that there's alien presence, but they were never actually seen. It's very 2001, a Space Odyssey, where it's like you never actually see the aliens. They're out there, but nobody ever sees them. But they're influencing the plot, and introducing them as actual playable characters kind of ruins some of the mystique, in my opinion. So that's my opinion of Alien Crossfire. That being said, I had a blast playing Alpha Centauri. I hope you guys had enjoyed watching this series. Stratejinn will continue with the next game in the series. It will not be a turn-based strategy. I'm going to leave it as a surprise to what it is. In the meantime, I will keep playing strategy games, and I will see you next time.